Hey guys, Andy here from Mediocre Hobbies, bringing you a hobby tutorial style video thing. Anyway, I'm planning on playing Astra Militarum quite heavily in 10th edition, as I did in 9th and 8th and 7th and 6th and 5th. I love Guard. And one of the things that seems to be cropping up as quite a useful unit in this edition are going to be weapon teams. Now, I have bought, built and painted one of the new weapon teams so far, a nice rocket team. And after reviewing some of the rules for some of the stuff, I realized that I'm going to want a couple of more weapon teams in my force. Now, before I went ahead and bought, 3 or 4 boxes more weapon teams, which is quite a lot of money, to be honest. It's going to be €250 kind of job for that many weapon teams. When I had that many weapon teams lying around unused in my pile of opportunity, shame thing. But they were old Cadian models. So I started to think, Games Workshop did say in their article that you can, of course, put the old weapon teams on 50mm bases or leave them on 60s. But I'm not really sure how tournament play works for that. If I decided to go to a tournament and brought weapon teams on 60mm bases, is that allowed? Somebody please let me know in the comments below what the actual ruling for that is. Or is it up to the tournament organizer's discretion? Anyway, I noted the size difference in the old weapon teams to the new weapon teams, and I was curious to see if I could make the older teams fit on 50mm bases. And not only that, if when I was finished building and painting one, I liked it, does it stand up to the newer ones? Does it fit well in the army, or does it look like an old, tired model? So that's what I'm going to try and achieve here today. Get one weapon team built up on a 50mm base, fully painted, and compared to the other ones. So if you guys are curious to know, stick around and enjoy the video. Before I get into it though, big thank you to all my patrons. Without you guys, I could not keep doing what I'm doing. If you're interested in getting involved with that, there are links in the description below. You get access to a private Discord server and an extra video every single week for being a member. So I think that's pretty cool. Okay, now without further ado, let's paint a weapon team. So here's the first of my new weapon teams completely finished up, and I absolutely loved how they turned out. The new miniatures are 10 out of 10, flawless, absolutely love them. All the weapon options are in there, very cleverly put together. Really nice size, they fit the 50mm base perfectly. I even get to do my funky bases. As you can see, I am a fan of doing funky bases, and they're all in like trench works and stuff, which is how I base all of my guard regiments, so they're all going to match together if I ever want to play a big game with all of them together. Then I have that option. So obviously 60mm bases to me were always a good thing because I had room to make that little scene. Having said that, they were not a lot of points in the game. Like you could have 3 mortars at one point for 35 points in the game. And that's 3 60mm bases of space you had to find in your deployment zone to field them. So I understand the shrinkage to smaller bases. I am for it. I agree with it. You can see that they've actually shrunk down the weapons themselves, which is of course going to help immensely with having them fit on new bases. And I think this is one thing that a lot of people don't realize when Games Workshop just blatantly says, just put your old ones on new size bases. Like, okay, that's not going to work all that well. I'm still dubious as to how people expect me to put my Steel Legion or Vostroyan heavy bolter teams who are lying down across the 50mm base, but that could be another video entirely. So what I've done is I've constructed one new old las cannon team, if that makes sense. I've stuck it together. And I'm going to show you how originally it fits onto a 60mm base. And as you can see, it's designed to fit onto a 60mm base. It fills it actually quite well. Space for the gunner and space for the loader or second in command or whatever the hell. Guy that helps them lug it around the battlefield. They have their backpacks, which I usually like to do up. Sometimes I leave them as on the side of the base. They've got their kit stowed. Sometimes they're on their back. It's just up to them. This is it fit onto a 50mm base. And I think if you really tried to squeeze, you could probably make it fit. But would it look good? I honestly don't think so. I think it would look a bit bizarre. I don't know why that guy would be so far forward, but yet the power pack won't fit on. So what I've done is I've built one of my new custom bases that I always do. And as you can see, I've drilled a little hole in the embankment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the decision to ditch both the tripod and the power pack from the las cannon. And obviously the tripod is a very easy dump. No one can really care about it if it's mounted on something else. The power pack not being on may irk some people. And if it does, I'm really sorry. Of course, you can make this work. You could, take the power cell itself, put it somewhere in the base, and maybe use some sort of flexible cord, some guitar wire or something to wire it around and have it plugged in. I just think the way it goes on now takes up a little bit too much space. Once I've kind of built it this way, I can see potential. There's enough space for both of the crew to stand around in. The las cannon is mounted on. Backpacks are decided. We'll decide what to do with those later. But at this point, I'm kind of happy with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the entire process of getting the whole thing painted up and based and finished. And I want to see what it looks like at the very end. So I've glued all these pieces to some spare stands. And then I'm going to go through the normal process that I go through with painting Cadians. I'm not going to talk through every step and stage. If you're curious as to how I paint my Cadians, what colors I use, you can go to my Astra Militarum playlist. There's like 50 videos in there of me working on it in Guard. Except for weapon teams, there's pretty much every new unit has a video in there, whether it be shock troops or tanks or cavalry or artillery or all the characters, Commissars, Lord Solus, Ursula Creed, they're all in their videos, so check them out if you want to know exactly what colors and paints that I'm using here on these bits. It's another thing that I was curious, not even just the size difference and stuff like that, but how enjoyable is it to paint the older miniatures? Since how I've been working on New Guard now for a couple of weeks, I've been working on the beautiful new Cadian shock troops, new Carsicans, all the new characters. Are the old models kind of too old? Will they stand out amongst the army, not look as nice, not really work? Should I try and avoid using them? And I honestly don't know how many Cadians I have built, but I know as I went through my Astra Militarum stuff yesterday that I have 130 unbuilt Cadian infantry. So it feels like a big waste if they're not going to be used. So based on how these guys turned out, I am tempted to get a squad or two of 20 strong men of Cadian shock troops, or Cadian infantry now, shock troops is the other kit, built and painted, and add them into the army so that those miniatures don't go to waste. It costs me money at some stage. I might as well get use out of them, and especially if I can make them look nice. Most of them are the ones with the new Cadian upgrade sprue, so they have some nice heads in there. They've got some extra equipment. They've got all the special weapons they could possibly need. So it's not like they're going to look weird or out of place. I think they will work quite nicely. And frankly, I'm short of infantry right now. But that's neither here nor there. I'm actually going to be working on another full combat patrol of Astra Militarum on the 26th of August. Which is going to be me on stream for 12 hours straight. So Saturday, the 26th of August, put it in your diaries now if you're interested. We're doing a combat patrol challenge where I'm going to be on stream on Twitch for 12 hours straight trying to get an entire combat patrol finished in one go. Everyone is welcome to join in and join along if you possibly can. It will be 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. which I know is a weird time for 12 o'clock, but that's going to be Irish time, so that will catch most of Europe, and it will catch a good part of America as they wake up a little bit later. So as a global thing, I think those times make it the most sense. So if you are curious and you want to see me paint up more Astra Militarum, more Cadians, then please feel free to join me on that day. I think it's going to be an absolute riot. So we did a 12-hour stream before, and it was a huge success, so I'm hoping to repeat those results. I'm even going to go so far as to use the old Cadian transfer sheet to put transfers on these guys, because I don't want to, like, if you guys have old kits lying around, I don't want to say stick on loads of new transfers to make them look nice now if you don't have those. So the old transfers still work a treat. Use microset like I do to put transfers on well. They look fantastic. Now what I'm going to do is assemble it all into one piece and see what the final result is going to be. And I must say, I am in no way, shape, or form disappointed in this result. I think it looks fantastic. I would be more than happy to continue working on the 11 other old weapon team bases that I have now and get them painted up and add to my Cadians. Here's one next to new Cadians. So you can see new Cadians versus old Cadians. There is, of course, a difference, but I don't think it's such a difference that it looks odd, out of place, or it won't look good on the tabletop. I'm really proud of this result. So I guess you will just have to get creative with some of the weapons as it goes fitting them on the bases. If you're going to try and use the old tripod, you are going to struggle a little bit more than others. So maybe think of a way of working around those tripods. I like it. what can I say? I was kind of dubious up until the very end when I glued all the parts together. And once I glued it together as one cohesive weapon team, I'm like, yes, I love this. This looks great. I'm building the rest. So I have, I think, 9 or 12 weapon teams to build and paint now, of the older ones. And it's kind of given me a little bit of confidence that maybe I should go back and try and paint up an actual full squad of 20 Cadian shock troops. Although not shock troops now, they're just Cadian infantry. And see how they look with like new transfers and a bit of weathering and nice bases. If that's something you guys are curious to see as well, then let me know in the comments below, because I do need to get a whole heap of more infantry for the army as well. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you give it a like. Ask me any questions you want in the comments below. I will get back to everybody who does. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, what the hell are you doing? This goes out to 60% of the people who watch my videos that aren't subscribed. Hit that subscribe button. Make my day. Have a great week. Talk to you next time, guys.